After tomorrow, you're not family anymore. She didn't shout it, she whispered it. My son's fiancé leaned close, smiling politely, and erased me from his life in a single breath. So I stayed home on his wedding day, holding the scrapbook I made with shaking hands. By noon, the wedding was cancelled. And when the truth came out, I realized her biggest mistake wasn't what she said to me, it was what she thought she could hide. Before I tell you what really happened, I want to ask something small. If stories like this matter to you, if Quiet Strength speaks to you, please subscribe. And tell me where you're listening from. Every story I share carries a piece of my life. And knowing you're out there, listening, means more to me than you know. I still wake up before sunrise. Even now, my body refuses to sleep past 5. 72 years old, and I still make my bed tight enough to bounce a coin. Old habits don't disappear. They settle into your bones. My name is Eleanor Hayes, and for 27 years, my whole world was my son, Michael. When his father left, he didn't slam doors, he didn't scream. He packed a suitcase, left a note on the counter, and vanished. Michael was 7. He stood in the hallway holding a plastic dinosaur. "Mom, when's Dad coming back?" I smiled. "Soon," I said. Then I locked myself in the bathroom and cried into a towel so he wouldn't hear me fall apart. After that, it was just us. I became everything. Mother, father, provider, cheerleader. I worked mornings at the hospital cafeteria, evenings cleaning office buildings downtown. Some nights I came home smelling like bleach and burnt coffee grounds. But I never let him see the tired. I'd warm canned soup like it was something special, clap at his school plays like he was on Broadway. When he brought home a gold star, I taped it to the fridge like it was a medal of honor. He grew up gentle, the kind of boy who thanked bus drivers, who held doors open for strangers. When he told me he wanted to be a lawyer, I laughed softly. "Of course you do," he said. "I want to protect people who can't protect themselves, like you always protected me." I didn't cry in front of him. I waited until he left the room. So when he met Vanessa Reed 3 years ago, I truly wanted to like her. She was beautiful, polished, the kind of woman who never looked unsure. The first time we met, she shook my hand firmly. "Mrs. Hayes," she said, smiling perfectly. "I've heard so much about you." It sounded kind, but it felt practiced. I told myself I was imagining it. Single mothers can be protective. We look for cracks in everything. The small moments came first. On Michael's birthday, I baked his favorite cake. Chocolate fudge with peanut butter frosting. Same recipe since he was 10. Vanessa tilted her head. "Oh, that's nostalgic," she said lightly. Then she gently moved the cake aside. "He's watching sugar now. Like I hadn't known him his entire life." Michael laughed awkwardly, kissed my cheek. "Thanks, Mom. You didn't have to." But I saw it, that quick flicker in his eyes. Guilt. I swallowed it. Love requires adjustment, I told myself. When they got engaged, I bought a pale blue dress. Michael once told me that color made me glow. Vanessa took control of the wedding planning. Every detail. The venue. The flowers. The guest list. I wasn't invited to cake tastings, or dress fittings, or even the seating chart. When I gently asked if I could help, she smiled thinly. "Just show up looking nice," she said. "We've got everything handled." I laughed. Told my sister she was just stressed. But there were cracks. Vanessa spoke often about Michael's future firm. His earning potential. The life they would build once he passed the bar. When Michael mentioned pro bono work helping families in need, she'd nod politely. Then redirect the conversation to investment portfolios. I folded those moments quietly inside me. Like old letters you're afraid to reread, because my son looked happy. And maybe that was enough. The night before the wedding, I finished the scrapbook. Every photo I had saved, his first missing tooth, his middle school science fair, the day he opened his law school acceptance letter. I pressed the final page flat, smoothed it gently. I wanted Vanessa to understand what shaped him. The years, the sacrifice, the love. I thought, foolishly, it might bring us closer. That evening, I drove to the rehearsal dinner. The air smelt like summer rain. Vanessa met me at the door. Perfect dress, perfect hair, perfect smile. But her eyes, they were colder than I'd ever seen. And I didn't know it then. But that quiet little meeting would end everything. Because peace doesn't shatter loudly. It cracks in whispers. And that peace was about to end. She didn't invite me inside. We stood just outside the ballroom doors. Music drifted through the walls. Laughter, glasses clinking. Applause. I held the scrapbook in both hands. I made this for you and Michael, I said softly. I thought you two could look through it tonight. She didn't even glance at it. Instead, she stepped closer, close enough that her perfume felt sharp in the air. After tomorrow, she whispered, you're not part of this family anymore. I blinked. Surely I misheard her. I'm sorry? I asked. Her smile didn't change. You've done your part, she said quietly. You raised him. Thank you for that. The words were polite, but her eyes weren't. Tomorrow he becomes my husband, she continued. My family. She paused. And you? You're just extra. Extra. Like spare change. Like a chair in the corner no one needs. My fingers tightened around the scrapbook. I didn't feel rage. I felt something colder. She tilted her head slightly. Don't embarrass yourself by clinging, she added. It's time to let go. Let go. As if I hadn't been letting go in small ways for years, she lowered her voice even more. Michael loves you, she said. But love makes people blind. Her eyes scanned me slowly. I see clearly. You don't belong in our future. The music inside swelled. Someone laughed loudly. I stood there, inches from celebration, and felt erased. She reached out and patted my arm. Gentle, patronizing. Sleep in tomorrow, Mrs. Hayes. It'll be easier for everyone. Then she turned and walked back into the ballroom. The doors closed softly behind her. No slam, no drama, just quiet dismissal. I remained there longer than I should have. The scrapbook felt heavier than paper ever should. When I finally walked to my car, I didn't start it right away. I watched guests arrive, smiling, excited. No one noticed me leaving. That night, I placed the scrapbook on my bed. I sat beside it, turned each page slowly. Michael at 7, missing his front teeth. Michael at 12, holding a science fair ribbon. Michael at 22, eyes shining with hope. You're not part of this family anymore, the sentence echoed. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was this. She believed she could erase history, erase sacrifice, erase me. My phone buzzed near midnight. A message from Michael. Love you, Mom. Big day tomorrow. I stared at the screen for a long time. He had no idea. No idea what she'd said. No idea what she thought of me. I typed back, love you too. Then I turned the phone face down. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I made coffee, laid the pale blue dress across the bed, touched the fabric once, then slowly folded it and placed it back in the closet. For 27 years, I chose him first. His comfort, his success, his happiness, but something inside me had shifted. Not anger, not revenge, just stillness. I couldn't sit in that church pew, smile politely, while pretending I hadn't been quietly dismissed. If I was extra, then I would remove myself. By 9, the calls started. My sister first. Where are you? She asked. Everyone's looking for you. I'm home, I said calmly. Silence on the other end. Eleanor, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I replied. I'm simply staying where I'm not unwanted. By 10, Michael called, his voice tight. Mum, Vanessa said you weren't feeling well. So she'd already written the narrative. I'm fine, I said. I just won't be coming. He inhaled sharply. What? Mum, the ceremony starts in an hour. I know. Why? The question lingered. Because your bride told me I wasn't family, but I didn't say that. Not yet. I just can't, I whispered. He sounded confused, hurt. Okay, he said quietly. I'll call you later. When the church bells rang at 11, I sat in my kitchen, hands wrapped around a cold mug. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. But something inside me went very, very quiet. And that's when I knew I would not stay silent forever. When the church bells stopped, the house felt too quiet. I expected anger, guilt, panic. Instead, there was only waiting. At 11:42, my phone rang. It was my sister. Her voice didn't sound right. Eleanor, she said, breathless. The wedding, it's not happening. I stood up slowly. What do you mean? It's over, she whispered. He called it off. The words didn't register at first. What happened? A pause. Then Vanessa was exposed. Exposed. The word felt heavy. Apparently, half an hour before the ceremony, Michael's best friend burst into the groom's room, phone in hand, photos. Vanessa, wrapped in another man's arms. Not old pictures, not rumors. 2 weeks ago. Laughing, comfortable, close. The man wasn't a stranger. It was her boss, the one she called her mentor. Michael stared at the screen. Didn't shout, didn't throw anything. He just stopped smiling. But that wasn't the worst part. Whispers started spreading through the pews. Vanessa's maid of honor, nervous, tipsy, let something slip. The engagement wasn't just romance. It was strategy. Her father's businesses were sinking. Bankruptcies, lawsuits, debt. And Michael, fresh out of law school, was stability. A solution. The prenup she insisted on. It wasn't protection. It was redirection. Future earnings quietly positioned under joint management. The language sounded harmless. It wasn't. Marriage wasn't the goal. Security was. By 11:15, Michael walked down the aisle alone. Guests shifted in confusion. He stood at the front, voice shaking but steady. There will be no wedding today. Gasps filled the church. She betrayed my trust, he said. Vanessa's parents protested, cried humiliation, demanded explanation. Vanessa ran after him, but he didn't turn around. When my sister finished telling me, I sat down slowly. The mug in my hands had gone cold. I didn't feel victory. I felt grief. Grief for the boy who thought he was building a future. That afternoon, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Relatives, neighbors, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some offered sympathy. Others asked pointed questions. Did you know? Did you warn him? And then the narrative shifted. Vanessa posted a photo online. Mascara streaked, wedding dress rumpled. Captioned, "Some mothers can't let go." It spread quickly. Blame travels faster than truth. By evening, headlines appeared. Wedding cancelled, amid family conflict. Another read, "Mother's interference ends ceremony." I folded her scarf and left it on the porch rail. A small, meaningless gesture. But my hands needed something steady to do. Michael arrived after dark, suit wrinkled, tie loose. He looked smaller somehow. He sat on the couch without speaking. I brought him tea. He stared into it for a long time. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "For what?" "For not seeing it sooner." I didn't rush to comfort him. I let the silence breathe. "I didn't feel angry," I said quietly. "I just felt done pretending." He looked up. She told me you weren't coming because you were jealous. There it was, the lie. I stayed home, I said carefully, because she told me I wasn't family anymore. His face changed. She said that? Yes. Silence settled between us. Then he whispered, she tried to erase you. I nodded once. That night, he slept in his old bedroom. Door slightly open, like he used to when he was 8. But the fallout didn't stop there. 2 days later, I received a legal letter. Threats, defamation, interference, large words meant to intimidate. Vanessa's father claimed I sabotaged the marriage, as if truth were sabotage. Michael received one too. He read it twice. They're relentless, he said quietly. For years I had carried him through storms. Now he was standing in one that had my name attached to it. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I began to think, very carefully, because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about correction. Some nights I caught myself whispering their names, not in anger, but in disbelief. If you're still listening, thank you. Stories like this remind me patience isn't weakness. It's quiet strength. That week, while the town argued about who ruined the wedding, I started gathering documents. Emails, financial records, copies of that prenup. I didn't rush. I didn't post rebuttals. I simply watched. And I understood something clearly. If she believed perception was everything, then truth would need its own stage, and I would be the one to build it. I didn't start with anger. I started with a notebook. A plain brown one from the kitchen drawer, the kind I used for grocery lists. I made tea, sat at the dining table, opened the prenup again. This time, I read every word. Slowly, no assumptions, no emotion, just language, clause by clause. And there it was, buried beneath polite phrasing and professional formatting. In the event of dissolution within 5 years. Dissolution. Such a soft word. 75% of projected earnings to be transferred into accounts under joint management between Vanessa Reed and her father. Joint management, not joint ownership. Management, control. I circled that word 3 times. Then I called Linda. I didn't dramatize. I didn't rant. I simply said, "Can you look at something?" She came that afternoon, glasses low on her nose, red pen in hand. By page 6, she let out a slow breath. "This isn't protection," she said. "This is extraction." We sat in silence for a moment. Sunlight stretched across the table, dust drifting lazily in the beam. "So it wasn't just love," I murmured. "It was leverage." Linda nodded. "And if her family's financial records match this timeline, it becomes a pattern." Pattern. That word stayed with me. Over the next week, I did not argue online. I did not defend myself publicly. I collected emails Michael had forwarded, investment proposals her father had sent, family synergy, shared prosperity, strategic alignment. It sounded corporate, because it was. Michael had never been a fiancé. He had been a financial plan. I contacted a financial investigator. Linda trusted. A quiet man, measured voice. He pulled bankruptcy filings, liens, civil judgments. The Reed family wasn't struggling. They were drowning, and Michael was positioned as flotation. I didn't feel fury. I felt clarity. Because after tomorrow, you're not family anymore, so I let the wedding. Tell the truth was never just about insult. It was about intent. Vanessa once told me, perception is everything. She believed beauty could outweigh evidence, believed emotion could drown documentation. She underestimated patience. 2 weeks after the cancelled wedding, the Reed family hosted a private dinner. Damage control. They invited Michael, not me. He didn't want to go. I told him he should. "You deserve to hear them clearly," I said. Then I made a choice. I wore the pale blue dress, the one I bought for the wedding. Not for drama, for balance. I walked into that hotel ballroom steady. Vanessa's father stood to greet me, smile, polished, eyes sharp. "Mrs. Hayes," he said smoothly. "We were discussing misunderstandings." Misunderstandings. I placed the folder on the table. Not slammed, not thrown, placed. "Then let's clarify," I said. I opened the prenup, turned it toward him, highlighted clauses visible. Silence thickened. Vanessa tried to laugh. "That's standard language." The investigator's report followed. Bankruptcy timelines, debt ratios, asset transfers. Michael hadn't seen all of it. His face changed as he read. "You were planning to funnel my earnings," he said quietly. Her father stiffened. "This is confidential." "No," I replied calmly. "It's relevant." Vanessa's composure thinned. "You wouldn't dare make this public." I met her eyes. "I don't need to shout," I said. "Facts speak." The room grew smaller. Air heavier. Michael stood. Not angry, not explosive, just steady. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked her. She reached for him. "Baby, you don't understand." "I understand enough." For the first time, I saw something firm in him. Not confusion, not hurt. Clarity. The evening didn't erupt. There was no scene, just quiet unraveling. Threats followed. Legal language. Reputation warnings. I nodded politely. "Do what you must," I said. Because the stage was nearly built. Linda had already contacted a journalist, one who specialized in financial investigations. We didn't exaggerate. We didn't editorialize. We submitted documentation, evidence, patterns, truth. I didn't want fireworks. I wanted daylight. And once the article went live, we didn't chase reactions. We waited, because sometimes the strongest move is letting the world read. The stage was set. All I had to do was wait. The article went live on a Tuesday morning. No dramatic headlines, no flashing graphics, just careful words, documented facts. I was sitting on the porch when Michael called. His voice sounded different. "Mom, it's everywhere." I didn't rush to open it. I already knew what it contained. The journalist had been thorough. Timelines aligned. Financial records verified. The prenup clause quoted exactly as written. Clause 14. 75% of projected earnings under joint management. In print, it looked colder. Within hours, the narrative shifted. Comments changed tone. Questions replaced sympathy. Was she using him? That prenup is predatory. His mother was right. I didn't smile. I just exhaled slowly. Vanessa tried to respond. Another photo, another tearful caption. But this time, the comments were different. Screenshots, document links, facts. Perception had moved. Her father called Michael that evening. I could hear the tension through the wall. "You've humiliated our family," he said. Michael's voice stayed calm. "You tried to use me." He didn't argue. He didn't escalate. He ended the call. Sometimes the loudest moment in life is when you choose not to continue the noise. A week later, Vanessa asked for one final meeting, just her and Michael. He asked me what I thought. I looked at him carefully. "You don't need closure from someone who tried to erase you," I said. "But if you go steady." They met at a quiet cafe. He told me about it afterward. She cried, said the affair was a mistake, blamed pressure, blamed her father, said she still loved him. Michael listened, really listened. Then he asked her one question. "Why did you tell my mother she wasn't family?" She didn't answer right away. Then she shrugged slightly. "I needed boundaries," she said. Boundaries. As if loyalty were clutter. As if history were optional. Michael stood, left money on the table, and walked out. He didn't look back. When he came home that night, he sat beside me on the porch, the same porch where I once watched him fall off his bicycle and get back up again. He leaned back and let out a long breath. "I almost married her," he whispered. I placed my hand over his. "But you didn't." Silence followed. Not heavy, not tense, just settled. Vanessa's family sent one more legal threat. Linda responded calmly. Documented rebuttal. Measured tone. The threats stopped. People who operate in shadows rarely fight in daylight. The town moved on. Headlines faded. Whispers quieted. Vanessa relocated quietly. New city. New job. New audience. Michael threw himself into work. Long hours. Serious cases. He returned to pro bono work, the kind she once dismissed. One evening, months later, he brought the scrapbook out from under my bed, the one I never gave him. He flipped through it slowly, paused at the photo of him at 7, holding that plastic dinosaur. "When Dad left," he said softly, "I thought we were broken." I smiled gently. "We weren't broken," I said. "We were rebuilding." He closed the book carefully. "You are my family," he said, not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but certainty. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not triumph, not revenge, freedom. Because after tomorrow, you're not family anymore. So I let the wedding tell the truth. Was never about humiliation. It was about timing. Truth doesn't need force. It needs patience. And in that silence, I finally felt free. There's something I've learned in 72 years. Family isn't erased by whispers. It's revealed by pressure. When Vanessa leaned in and told me, "After tomorrow, you're not family anymore," she believed she held the power. But family isn't decided by a wedding, or a signature, or a perfectly staged photograph online. It's built in quiet kitchens, in double shifts. In school projects finished at midnight. In sacrifices no one applauds. I didn't scream. I didn't fight her in the church aisle. I didn't chase her lies with louder ones. I stepped back, and I let the wedding tell the truth. That's the part people misunderstand. Revenge doesn't always look like shouting. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like allowing someone to reveal themselves completely. The pain was real. There were nights I sat in the dark, wondering if I had failed him, wondering if I should have spoken sooner. But anger is heavy. If you carry it too long, it bends your spine. I chose something lighter, clarity, because respect, once questioned, cannot be forced. It has to be witnessed. Michael saw it, not because I demanded it, but because truth stood in front of him without blinking. And now, our mornings are quiet again. Coffee on the porch. No headlines, no whispers. Just sunlight warming old wood. Maybe justice isn't loud. Maybe it isn't immediate. Maybe it's simply being able to sleep without replaying someone's cruelty in your mind. If someone has ever told you you weren't part of the story anymore, remember this. You don't have to argue your place. Sometimes you step back. Sometimes you wait. And sometimes you let the truth speak in its own time. Because in the end, family isn't claimed by ceremony. It's proven by loyalty. And loyalty, once tested, either breaks or becomes unshakable. Would you have gone to the wedding or stayed home like I did? Tell me in the comments. I read more of them than you think.